In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create a bubble graph. So the first thing to create a bubble graph, you need 3 types of data. So in this case, I'm going to be comparing for each country the GDP growth, and the population. All right. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to click anywhere on the data, and then I'm going to do Control A just to select all of the data. Then I'm going to come to Insert and Chart. All right, so by default, if I come here to the chart editor, I see that the editor has inserted a column chart. So I'm going to come here to chart type, I'm going to click on it, scroll down, and come here to scatter. You see there is the option for bubble graph. All right, so now I have the bubble graph, but it's all over the place. We need to do some editing. So let's stay in the editor. First thing, I want to decide what I want in the x-axis. And in the x-axis, I actually want to see growth. So let's change this to growth. On the y-axis, I want the GDP. And here, the series is just what you're seeing on the legend. So, sorry, on the series, I actually want to see the country. And the size is going to be population, because I want the size of the bubble to be the size of the country. You could have had the size of the bubble be GDP. So for example, let's see if you use size as GDP. And then you could do the Y population. So it's up to you. I kind of prefer the size to be population. And let's change Y to GDP. So you can play around and see how you want to visualize your data. This is my preference. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Okay. Now we can do some more customization. So I'm going to come here to the second part and customize, and I'm going to show you the options that you have. Okay, so chart style, you can decide if you want background color. I usually like to remove the border, so you don't have the border around it. Okay, I like that. Now you can edit the bubbles opacity at 80, let's say. So if you're the 60, they are a little bit more opaque and you can see what's behind them. You can reduce the font size. Let's change it to 12. If you wanted, for example, you could do border color, so you see all red. And if you change the text color to, sorry, not the text color. If you change the opacity, for example, to 0%, you only have the border. I don't particularly like that, so let's bring border back to none and opacity back to 60, or even 80 was okay for me. Okay, so chart style, bubble, chart title. You can decide if you want a chart title. We could say country, population, and GDP, something like that. And you can decide the alignment, if you want it in the middle, for example. It's up to you if you want the title in there or not. The series, here is where you can change the colors of the bubbles. So you say, for example, US is in this blue, but say you wanted the US in red, so you just come here and you change the color, and you can do that for each country. Say you want the UK in, so you can kind of, they stand out a little. And you can change the opacity, okay, also on a country level. All right, so that was the series. You can change the legend. So position by default is here on the side, but for example, you could put it at the bottom. So that's another option for you. I kind of like it better in the bottom. And then, of course, you can change the horizontal axis. You could do a minimum and maximum value here. If you wanted the data, you have 0 to 3%. You could change that and put it like up to 5, but I don't see any reason to change it here. I'm happy with the way horizontal axis is. Same for vertical axis. You can also change. You can change the font. Anyways, we're not gonna make any more changes there. And also, last thing, you can change the grid lines. So for example, you could add minor grid lines, you can remove them, you can remove the major ones, make it this a little bit cleaner. And you could also put like none, so remove them completely. That's totally up to your preference.